The stars looked different this far from Earth. Captain Tejo stood on the bridge of the Sol horizon, watching the scanner display flicker with new readings. Something big was moving toward them through the darkness of space. "Unknown vessel approaching," said Hana, his science officer. She adjusted her glasses and studied the data streaming across her screen. "It's massive. At least 10 times our size." Tejo nodded calmly. They had traveled 3 months beyond the outer colonies to explore this region. Meeting someone new was always a possibility. He pressed the communication button. "This is Captain Tejo of the Earth vessel Sol Horizon. We come in peace." The response came quickly, but not through their communication system. The unknown ship simply appeared next to them, moving impossibly fast. Before anyone could react, their hull shuddered. Something was cutting through their airlock. "They're boarding us," Hana said, her voice steady despite the situation. Tejo stood and straightened his uniform. "Then let's meet our guests properly. Hana, come with me. Everyone else remain calm and at your stations." They walked to the airlock together. The door hissed open and 3 creatures entered. They stood over 7 feet tall, covered in dark scales that seemed to absorb light. Their eyes glowed red, and when they moved, it was with the grace of predators. These were clearly beings built for war. The largest one stepped forward. When it spoke, a device on its chest translated the words into Korean. "I am Commander Tholzar of the Vraxian Empire. You are now subjects of the Empire. Submit, and your deaths will be quick." Tejo looked at the creature with curiosity rather than fear. "That's an interesting greeting. Would you like some coffee first? We have an excellent blend from Colombia. It's quite strong." Tholzar's eyes narrowed. His clawed hand moved to a weapon at his side. "You do not understand your situation, human. The Vraxian Empire has conquered 847 star systems. We are the apex species of this galaxy. Lesser beings submit or die." Hana stepped forward, her tablet in hand. "Fascinating. Your physiology suggests you evolved on a low-gravity world. Perhaps 0.6 g? That explains the height. Your bone density must be significantly lower than ours." She tapped her screen thoughtfully. "Tell me, Commander, what is your homeworld's oxygen content?" The question seemed to confuse the Vraxian. 14%. "Why does this matter?" "Earth's is 21%, Hana replied. "We evolved breathing what would be toxic levels to most species." "It makes us rather energetic," she smiled. "Also, our gravity is about 1.8 times yours. So you're standing in what feels like nearly twice your normal weight right now. Are you feeling tired yet?" Tholzar's confidence wavered for a moment. He straightened his posture, clearly trying to hide any discomfort. "The Vraxian warrior shows no weakness." "Of course not," Tejo said pleasantly. He walked past the armed aliens to a small cabinet and retrieved 3 cups. "But perhaps you'd still like that coffee? We humans drink it to help us wake up in the morning. The caffeine is technically a poison, but we enjoy the taste." "You drink poison?" one of the other Vraxians asked, his translator making his voice sound uncertain. "For fun," Hana added. "We also eat capsaicin, which is a plant's chemical defense mechanism. It causes pain, but we call it spicy food and consider it delicious. Some of us even compete to eat the most painful varieties." Tholzar's hand slowly moved away from his weapon. He looked at his 2 companions, then back at the humans. Something in his posture had changed. The predator confidence was gone, replaced by something else. Wariness, perhaps. Or was it fear? "Your species is insane," Tholzar said quietly. "Possibly," Tejo agreed. He poured coffee into the cups anyway. "But we've survived on our world for millions of years. Earth is what we call a death world. Extreme temperatures, dangerous predators, frequent natural disasters, high radiation from our sun. We evolved to handle all of it." Hana pulled up an image on her tablet. "This is a human activity called sunbathing. We deliberately expose ourselves to radiation that causes cellular damage, just because we enjoy the warmth and the aesthetic of darker skin. Some humans do this so much they develop cancer, and we've developed entire medical fields just to treat that self-inflicted condition." The 3 Vraxians stared at the image. They exchanged looks that suggested rapid communication. Finally, Tholzar spoke again, his voice lower. "What would happen if we attacked you?" Tejo considered the question seriously. "Well, we have 42 crew members on this ship. Most are scientists and engineers, but all humans have a biological response we call fight or flight. When threatened, our bodies flood with chemicals that increase our strength, speed, and pain tolerance. We become temporarily much more dangerous," he smiled. And historically, humans choose fight more often than flight, even against superior numbers, Thulzar asked. Especially against superior numbers, Nana said. We have a saying on Earth. Never tell me the odds. We're not very good at accepting defeat. It's a species trait. Thulzar took a step backward. For a creature that claimed to be the galaxy's apex predator, he suddenly looked very much like prey. The Vraxian Empire has studied thousands of species. None have ever spoken to us this way. None have failed to show fear. Should we be afraid? Teho asked genuinely. You seem like reasonable beings. Why would we assume you want to harm us? Because that is what the strong do to the weak, Thulzar replied. Ah, Teho nodded. Well, Commander, I should tell you something about humanity. We don't really think in terms of strong and weak. We think in terms of friends and enemies. And we don't have enemies yet in this galaxy. He held out one of the coffee cups. We prefer to have friends. Thulzar looked at the cup for a long moment. Then slowly, he reached out and took it. He studied the dark liquid inside. What does this poison taste like? Like a new beginning, Teho said. The Vraxian brought the cup to his mouth and drank carefully. His eyes widened. He looked at the cup, then at Teho, then at his companions. This is pleasant, bitter but pleasant. Most good things in life are a little bitter at first, Hana said. Thulzar finished the coffee. He set the cup down carefully as if it were something precious. I will report this encounter to the Galactic Council. They must know about your species. They must know about Earth, he paused. They must know that a Death World species has reached the stars. Is that a problem? Teho asked. I do not know, Thulzar admitted. Death World species were thought to be theoretical. Something impossible. If they existed, we believe they would be too dangerous to leave their planets. He looked at both humans carefully. You do not seem dangerous, but I think that makes you more dangerous still. The Vraxians left as quickly as they had arrived. Their ship vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving the Sol Horizon alone in the darkness. Hana turned to Teho. That was interesting. Yes, Teho agreed. I think we just made our first impression on the galaxy. Do you think he was really afraid of us? Teho smiled. I think he realized that strength isn't just about size or weapons. It's about what you're willing to endure. And humans, we've endured quite a lot. They returned to the bridge, leaving the empty coffee cups behind. Somewhere ahead in the vast galaxy, word of humanity was beginning to spread, and that word carried a new kind of fear. The Galactic Council chamber was older than most civilizations, built by the Kyrion species millions of years ago. Its walls held the wisdom of 10,000 different races. Ambassador Yuna Park walked through the massive doors, her shoes clicking against the crystalline floor. Beside her, Colonel Hyun Kang moved with military precision, his uniform crisp and perfectly pressed. Remember, Yuna whispered, be polite but firm. We're not asking for permission to exist, Hyun nodded once. His hand rested near his sidearm, though he knew it would be useless here. The gesture was more habit than preparation. The council sat in a circular arrangement above them. 12 species, each representing thousands of member worlds. At the center sat the 3 Kyrian elders. Being so ancient they no longer had physical forms. They existed as pure energy, contained in shimmering fields of light. Humans of Earth, the center elder spoke, its voice resonating directly in their minds. You have been summoned to address the concerns raised by the Vraxian Empire. They claim your species is unusual. We're just people, Yuna replied calmly. That remains to be determined, another council member said. This one was a Velcron, a species that resembled a floating jellyfish made of blue crystal. We require a biological assessment. Dr. Suji Lee, please step forward. A third human entered the chamber carrying several cases of equipment. Suji was Earth's top xenobiologist, and she looked excited rather than nervous. Hello, Council. I'm happy to share information about human biology. We will conduct our own examination, the Velcron replied. Please submit to our scanners. Suji set down her cases and stood in the center of the room. Lights played across her body as alien technology analyzed every cell, every molecule. The council members' expressions began to change as data flowed across their displays. This cannot be correct, a council member muttered. It was a Thorian, a rock-like being that communicated through vibrations. Run the scan again. The light swept over Suji a second time, then a third. Each time the council members looked more disturbed. What is your planet's oxygen content? the elder asked. 21%, Suji answered cheerfully. That is toxic, the Velcron said flatly. Most species cannot survive above 16% without cellular damage. Oh, we adapted to it about 2 billion years ago, Suji explained. Actually, our early ancestors created that oxygen through photosynthesis. It killed off most other life forms in what we call the Great Oxygenation Event. But some species survived and evolved to use it. We're descended from those survivors. You poisoned your own planet? A council member asked, its translator struggling with the concept. Well, not intentionally, Suji said. But yes, basically. Then we learned to breathe the poison and became the dominant species. Hyun watched the council members shift uncomfortably. He kept his expression neutral, but inside he felt a small spark of pride. The elder spoke again. Your bone structure is remarkable, dense, heavy, and the medical scans show evidence of previous breaks that have healed. Oh yes. Suji pulled up a hologram from her equipment. Human bones can repair themselves. If we break one, it usually heals stronger than before. We also have a healing factor for skin. Small cuts close themselves within days. Larger wounds form scar tissue. We can even regrow some organs like liver tissue. Impossible, the Velcron said. Advanced healing requires technological assistance. Not for us, Suji shrugged. Our bodies just do it naturally. Though it does take energy. That's why injured humans eat more food. A new council member spoke up. This was a Drexian insectoid and cautious. The temperature tolerance readings make no sense. Your species can function in temperatures ranging from -40 to +50 degrees Celsius. Some humans have survived even more extreme temperatures, Suji said. We're not comfortable in those ranges, but we don't die immediately. We sweat to cool down and shiver to warm up. It's a pretty efficient system. Sweat? The Drexian asked. We secrete liquid through our skin to regulate temperature, Suji explained. It evaporates and cools us. Most humans can function in heat that would kill other species. Yuna watched the council members communicate silently with each other. Their body language, across all their different forms, showed clear signs of distress. There is more, the elder said. Your genetic code includes something called an adrenaline response. Explain this. Suji's eyes lit up. This was clearly her favorite topic. Oh, that's wonderful. When humans are threatened or excited, our bodies release chemicals that temporarily enhance our abilities. Our heart rate increases, our muscles receive more oxygen, our pain tolerance goes up, and our reaction time improves. We become faster and stronger for a short period. This is a combat enhancement? The Thorian asked. It happens automatically, Suji said. We call it fight or flight. Though humans usually choose fight. It's instinctive. So every human is a potential warrior? The Drexian asked quietly. Well, we prefer not to fight, Yuna interjected. But yes, if necessary, any human can become dangerous when threatened. It's a survival mechanism. Colonel Hyun finally spoke. If I may add something, Ambassador. The Council should know that human children begin training this response around age 5 through play fighting. By adulthood, most humans have refined their combat instincts significantly. Your children train for combat? The Velcron asked, its crystalline form flickering with what might have been horror. We call them sports, Hyun explained. Games where we compete physically. Wrestling, boxing, martial arts. We do it for fun, but it also prepares us for dangerous situations. Suji pulled up another hologram. I should also mention human dietary habits. We're omnivores, which means we can eat almost anything. Plants, meat, fungi. We've even learned to consume things that were originally toxic to us. Such as? The elder asked. Alcohol, Suji said. It's a poison that damages our liver and brain. But in small amounts, we process it and actually enjoy the effects. Many human cultures have been making and drinking alcohol for thousands of years. You deliberately poison yourselves? The Drexian asked. For social bonding, Suji nodded. We also eat capsaicin, which is a chemical plants evolved to prevent being eaten. It causes pain by triggering our heat sensors. But humans enjoy this pain and call it spicy food. Some of our most popular dishes are loaded with capsaicin. This is insanity, the Velcron stated. It's actually quite logical, Suji countered. By exposing ourselves to small amounts of harmful substances, we build tolerance. This makes us more resilient to environmental dangers. It's adaptive behavior. The elder's light pulsed slowly. We have reviewed the data. The council must deliberate. Humans, please wait outside. Yuna, Hyun, and Suji left the chamber. They stood in the corridor watching alien beings of 100 different species pass by. Many stared at the humans with obvious curiosity and nervousness. "How do you think it went?" Suji asked. "They're afraid of us," Hyun observed. "Good." "That's not good," Yuna corrected. "Fear leads to hostile action. We want them to respect us, not fear us." "Maybe they're the same thing in galactic politics," Hyun replied. An hour later, they were called back inside. The council members had arranged themselves differently, with more space between them and where the humans stood. The elder spoke, its mental voice heavy with something like resignation. "The Galactic Council has made a determination. Humanity is classified as a Class 9 dangerous species. This classification has only been used twice before in galactic history, both times for species that went extinct before achieving space travel." "What does that mean?" Yuna asked carefully. "It means," the Velcron explained, "that your species is considered a potential threat to galactic stability. Your biology is extreme. Your behavior patterns are unpredictable. Your capacity for violence is documented." "We haven't been violent," Yuna protested. "You exist on a death world," the elder said. "You evolved in conditions that would kill most species within hours. You breathe poison, eat toxins, and heal from injuries that would be fatal to others. Your entire species is adapted for survival in impossible conditions. This makes you, by definition, dangerous." Yuna felt her jaw tighten. She took a breath, using her own adrenaline response to stay calm and focused. "So what happens now?" "The Council recommends a quarantine of your solar system," the elder said. "Humanity will be contained to prevent potential galactic destabilization." "No," Yuna said simply. The chamber fell silent. Several council members shifted nervously. "No," the elder repeated. "Humanity didn't travel to the stars to be caged," Yuna said. Her voice was calm but firm. "We came to explore, to learn, to meet other species. We're not a threat to anyone who doesn't threaten us first, but we won't accept imprisonment for the crime of being survivors." "This is not negotiable," the Velcron said. "Everything is negotiable," Yuna replied. She smiled, and something in that smile made several council members lean back. "That's another human trait. We never accept impossible situations. We find solutions." Colonel Hyun stepped forward. "The council should understand something. Humans don't respond well to threats. If you try to quarantine us, we'll resist. And human resistance is persistent." The elder's light flickered. "Are you threatening the council?" "We're explaining reality," Yuna said. "Humanity wants to be part of the galactic community." Commander Wu Jin stood on the observation deck of New Busan's command center, watching the evening sky fade to darkness. The colony was only 15 years old, but it had grown into a thriving community of 40,000 people. Farmers worked the fertile valleys, miners extracted valuable minerals from the mountains, and families built homes in the city center. It was peaceful. It was home, then the alarm started screaming. "Commander!" His assistant Rhea Song burst through the door, her tablet clutched in shaking hands. "We have incoming ships. Lots of them." Wu Jin moved to the main display. 17 vessels were dropping out of faster-than-light travel above the planet. He recognized the design immediately. "Vraxian warships. Open a communication channel," he ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing a Vraxian commander with darker scales and more ornate armor than Wu Jin had seen in the intelligence reports. "Human colony of New Busan. This is Fleet Commander Korzath. The Vraxian Military Council rejects the diplomatic games of our civilian leaders. You will surrender this planet immediately, or you will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to evacuate." The channel closed before Wu Jin could respond. Rhea looked at him with wide eyes. "What do we do? We only have 300 defense personnel and basic weapons. They have 17 warships." Wu Jin thought about his training. 20 years in the Earth Marines, combat experience on 3 different worlds, medals for bravery that he kept in a drawer and never looked at. But he also thought about the families here, the children playing in the parks, the elderly couples tending their gardens. This was their home. "Sound the general alert," he said. "All civilians to designated shelters, all defense personnel to battle stations. And get me Daesong from the mining division." "The mechanic?" Rhea asked, confused. "The mechanic," Wu Jin confirmed. 20 minutes later, the command center had transformed into a war room. Volunteers streamed in, none of them professional soldiers, but all of them angry and determined. Daesong arrived covered in grease, his work clothes stained from a day maintaining mining equipment. "You wanted to see me, Commander? How fast can you weaponize the mining mechs?" Wu Jin asked. Dee's eyes lit up with understanding. The industrial units? They've got lifting capacity of 20 tons each. If I remove the safety limiters and add weapon mounts, he paused, calculating, I can have 12 combat ready in 3 hours. They won't be pretty, but they'll hit hard. Do it, Wu Jin ordered. Take anyone from engineering you need. A woman pushed through the crowd. Nari Choi, one of the colony's school teachers. She looked small and ordinary, but her voice cut through the noise with absolute authority. Commander, I'm organizing the civilian defense. We have hunters, construction workers, and engineers who know this terrain better than any invader will. Give us weapons and we'll make them regret landing. Wu Jin wanted to say no, wanted to protect the civilians, but he saw the determination in her eyes and knew she would fight with or without his permission. The armory is open. Take what you need. But Nari, these are professional soldiers. We're professional survivors, she replied. It's not the same thing, but it'll do. The hour passed quickly. When the Vraxian deadline expired, Wu Jin sent a single message. New Busan declines your offer. This is our home. If you want it, come and take it. The Vraxian response was immediate. Their ships began orbital bombardment, targeting the colony's power station and communication array. But Wu Jin had expected this. The real infrastructure was underground, protected by meters of rock. The surface buildings were decoys, empty shells that exploded impressively but did no real damage. Then the landing craft started descending. Hundreds of them carrying thousands of Vraxian soldiers. Let them land, Wu Jin ordered. Let them think they're winning. The Vraxians deployed in perfect military formation, advancing on the colony from 3 directions. They moved with the confidence of soldiers who had conquered hundreds of worlds. They expected fear. They expected surrender. Instead, they got Nari Choi. She had positioned her civilian fighters in the dense forest surrounding the colony. They used mining explosives rigged to pressure sensors, turning the forest floor into a maze of hidden dangers. Construction vehicles blocked the roads, forcing the Vraxians into kill zones. Hunters who could track a deer through fog picked off enemy scouts with precise rifle fire. The Vraxian advance slowed, then stopped. Their commanders couldn't understand what was happening. Their sensors showed only a few defenders, but their soldiers kept dying. Then Daesong arrived with the mechs. They weren't elegant machines. They were industrial equipment rebuilt into walking tanks, covered in improvised armor and mounting weapons salvaged from the Defense Force arsenal. But each one stood 12 feet tall and could punch through concrete. Day himself piloted the lead mech, crashing through the forest and into the Vraxian formation like a metal giant from human mythology. The aliens tried to fight back, but their weapons barely scratched the mech's construction-grade armor. Day's mech grabbed a Vraxian armored vehicle and literally threw it into a landing craft. This is for my daughter's school, he shouted over the communication channel, firing a mining laser that cut through enemy positions. This is for my neighbor's farm. This is for every meal I've shared with this community. The other mechs joined the assault and the Vraxian advance turned into a retreat. Commander Korzath watched from his command ship, unable to believe what he was seeing. They're miners and farmers! How are they doing this? His tactical officer had no answer. Sir, we've lost 300 soldiers in the first engagement. The humans are using terrain knowledge and improvised weapons. Every approach is trapped. Every position is defended. They're not fighting like soldiers. They're fighting like what? Korzath demanded. Like animals defending their den, the officer finished quietly. The battle continued for 3 weeks. The Vraxians had superior technology and numbers, but they had never fought an enemy like this. The humans didn't retreat. They didn't surrender. Even when wounded, they kept fighting. Even when surrounded, they found ways to strike back. Wu Jin barely slept during those weeks. He coordinated defenses, rotated fighters, and somehow kept his people's spirits high. They lost soldiers. They lost civilians who refused to stay in shelters. Every death hurt, but every survivor fought harder because of it. On the 15th day, a Vraxian squad captured a human defender. The soldier's name was Minsu, a young man who had been a musician before the invasion. He had burns covering his arms and a broken leg, but when the Vraxians tried to interrogate him, he just smiled. Why do you smile? The Vraxian interrogator asked. You have lost. Your injuries are severe. You will likely die. Because you don't understand, Minsu replied. You think this is about winning or losing. But humans don't think like that. We think about surviving. And if we can't survive, we think about making sure the next human does. That is illogical, the Vraxian said. That's humanity, Minsu replied. The interrogation footage was sent back to the Vraxian fleet. It spread among the soldiers and something changed. They began to fear. Not the weapons or the tactics, but the humans themselves. These beings who smiled while bleeding, who fought while dying, who never, ever gave up. On the 21st day, Commander Korzath requested a negotiation. Wu Jin met him in a neutral zone, both leaders surrounded by their soldiers. The Vraxian commander looked older somehow, despite only 3 weeks passing. I am authorized to offer terms of surrender. Good, Wu Jin said. We accept your surrender. Korzath's eyes widened. You misunderstand. We offer you the chance to surrender. No, Wu Jin replied calmly. You misunderstand. You've lost 60% of your forces. Your soldiers are traumatized. They whisper about the humans who don't stop in their barracks. You came here expecting an easy victory, and we've given you a nightmare. He paused. Leave now while you still can, or we'll keep fighting until there's nothing left of either side. You would accept mutual destruction? Korzath asked, genuinely confused. We'd prefer not to, Wu Jin admitted. But yes, if necessary. Because this is our home, and humans protect their homes. Korzath looked at his tactical officer, then back at Wu Jin. He saw something in the human's eyes that terrified him more than any weapon. Absolute conviction, unwavering determination, the willingness to die and to kill for what he believed in. The Vraxian fleet will withdraw, Korzath said quietly. We will inform our government that this world is not worth the cost. Smart choice, Wu Jin replied. The Vraxians left that night. Their ships pulled out of orbit and vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving New Busan scarred but standing. Nari Choi found Wu Jin standing in the ruins of the colony's central square. The buildings were damaged, the streets torn up, but people were already starting repairs. Children played in the rubble. Families hugged each other. Life continued. We lost 3,000 people, Nari said softly. 3,000 of our friends and neighbors. I know, Wu Jin replied. I remember every name. Was it worth it? Wu Jin looked at the people around them. At Daesong repairing his mech. At Minsu being carried to medical care by his friends, still alive despite his injuries. At the community that had fought together and survived together. Yes, he said, because we're still here. Dr. Mirai An reviewed the medical reports for the 3rd time, hoping she had misread something. The numbers remained unchanged. 4 billion Kethrans infected. Mortality rate 100%. Time from infection to death, 6 days. She sat in the medical station orbiting Kethros 4, watching the beautiful blue-green planet below. From space it looked peaceful. Down on the surface an entire civilization was dying. Dr. An, her assistant, interrupted her thoughts. The Galactic Medical Council wants to speak with you again. Mirai sighed and accepted the communication. The council appeared on her screen, 7 different species, all experts in medicine, and all of them looked exhausted. Dr. An, the lead counselor began. He was a Telvaran, a species that resembled an octopus made of light. We must ask you again to abandon this idea. The Kethros plague is beyond our ability to treat. We have lost 47 researchers already. Every species we have tested has died within days of exposure. Every species except one, Mirai replied calmly. You cannot know that humans are immune, another counselor argued. This one was crystalline, her voice like wind chimes. Your species has never encountered this pathogen. No, Mirai agreed. But humans have encountered thousands of plagues on Earth. We've survived viruses, bacteria, parasites, and prions that killed billions of us. And we're still here. Our immune systems are aggressive. This is not about aggression, the Telvaran said. This plague rewrites cellular structure. It turns the victim's own body against itself. There is no defense. Let me try, Mirai said simply. 4 billion people are dying. If there's even a small chance I can help, I have to take it. The council members exchanged looks across the communication link. Finally, the Telvaran spoke again. The council officially forbids this course of action. It is too dangerous, noted, Mirai replied. Then she ended the communication and turned to her team. Dr. Jun, Nurse Ara, are you both still willing? Dr. Kang Jun adjusted his glasses and nodded. He was a virologist who had spent 15 years studying Earth's most dangerous diseases. I've wanted to test human immune response to alien pathogens since we left Earth. This is the opportunity. Nurse Ara Min was younger, barely 30, but she had survived the New Delhi fever outbreak as a teenager. My grandmother always said the Kim family has strong blood. Let's prove it, Mireille smiled at her team. 2 humans against a plague that had defeated the galaxy's best medical minds. The odds were terrible, but humans had never been good at accepting odds. Then let's go save some people, she said. They took a shuttle down to Kethros Far's capital city. The streets were empty except for medical drones carrying bodies to mass cremation sites. The Kethrans were a beautiful species, tall and slender with skin that shifted colors based on their emotions. Now, those who remained alive were uniformly gray, the color of terminal illness and fear. The medical facility where they landed was overwhelmed. Thousands of Kethrans lay in beds, their bodies slowly shutting down as the plague consumed them. Doctors and nurses moved between patients, offering comfort but no cure. Many of the medical staff were infected themselves but continued working until they collapsed. The lead Kethran doctor, a female named Shilara, met them at the entrance. Her skin was already showing the gray patches of early infection. You are the humans? The Galactic Council said you might come, but that we should turn you away. We're here to help, Mireille said. Can you show me your research? Shilara led them to a laboratory filled with equipment from a dozen different species. Every medical technology the galaxy possessed had been tried and failed. We have identified the pathogen. It is a viral prion hybrid, something we have never seen before. It enters cells and rewrites their DNA to produce more of itself. The immune system cannot recognize it because it appears identical to healthy cells. Mireille studied the microscope images. The pathogen was elegant in its simplicity and terrifying in its effectiveness. How long have you been infected, Dr. Shilara? 4 days, the Kethran replied. I have perhaps 2 days remaining. Then we need to work fast, Mireille said. She rolled up her sleeve. I need you to infect me. What? Shilara stepped back, her skin flashing red with alarm. That is suicide. That's an experiment, Mireille corrected. If human immune systems can fight this, we'll know within 72 hours. If not, she shrugged, then we'll die trying to help. But we'll have data either way. This is insane, Shilara said. So we've been told, Dr. June replied, rolling up his own sleeve. But humans don't really do sanity well. We're more about results. Ara didn't bother arguing. She simply prepared 3 injection sites and loaded them with samples of the plague. Ready when you are, Dr. An. They injected themselves simultaneously, each human receiving a full dose of the plague that had killed billions. Shilara watched in horror as they calmly made notes about the procedure and set up monitoring equipment. Now what? The Kethran doctor asked. Now we wait, Mireille said. And we work. Show me everything you've tried. Every treatment, every approach, every failure. We need to understand why they failed. For the next 24 hours, the 3 humans worked alongside the Kethran medical staff. They analyzed data, reviewed research, and proposed new approaches, and they documented every change in their own bodies as the plague spread through their systems. Mireille felt the first symptoms after 12 hours. Fever, chills, muscle aches. The pathogen was attacking her cells, trying to rewrite her DNA. But something was fighting back. My white blood cell count is increasing, she noted, studying her blood sample under a microscope. The immune response is aggressive. Very aggressive. Dr. June checked his own readings. Same here. T cells are multiplying rapidly. The immune system has identified the pathogen as foreign despite its camouflage. How is that possible? Because human immune systems are paranoid, Mireille explained, watching her cells literally attack the plague. We evolved fighting thousands of diseases. Our bodies assume everything is dangerous until proven otherwise. The plague looks like healthy cells to Kethran immune systems, but human immune systems don't care. They attack anything that doesn't belong. Ara winced as another wave of fever hit her. This feels like the flu. Because your body is fighting a war, Mireille said. The fever is your immune system creating a hostile environment for the pathogen. The chills are blood being redirected to vital organs. Everything you feel is your body winning. By the 48th hour, all 3 humans showed signs of recovery. Their fevers broke, their symptoms faded, and their blood samples showed something incredible. Antibodies specifically designed to target and destroy the plague. Shilara couldn't believe the readings. You're healing, all 3 of you. Human immune systems learn. Dr. June explained. Once we identify a pathogen, we create specific antibodies to destroy it. And those antibodies remain in our blood, sometimes for our entire lives. Can we use your antibodies to treat the Kethrans? Shilara asked desperately. Mireille was already working on the answer. She drew blood from all 3 humans and began the process of isolating and replicating their antibodies. It would normally take months to develop a vaccine. She had hours before Shilara died. This is experimental, Mireille warned. I'm not sure if antibodies from one species will work in another, but we have to try. They created a serum from the human antibodies and injected it into Shilara. Then they waited. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Slowly, the gray patches on Shilara's skin began to fade. Her vital signs stabilized. The plague, which had defeated every treatment the galaxy could produce, retreated before the onslaught of human antibodies. It's working, Shilara whispered, her skin flashing every color of the Kethran emotional spectrum. Joy, hope, disbelief, gratitude. You saved me. You saved me. We saved you first, Mireille said. Now let's save everyone else. Working with the Kethran medical staff, the human team mass-produced the antibody serum. They couldn't make enough for everyone immediately, but they prioritized medical personnel and those with the best chance of survival. Each person they saved could help produce more serum from their own recovered immune systems. The process took 3 weeks. 3 exhausting, desperate weeks where the humans barely slept and survived on coffee and determination. But gradually the tide turned. Infection rates dropped. Recovery rates increased. The gray was replaced by color as the Kethrans healed. By the end of the month, 4 billion people had been saved. The plague was defeated. The Kethran Queen, a magnificent being whose skin glowed with 1,000 colors, summoned the human medical team to her palace. She was weak from her own recovery but insisted on standing to greet them. Dr. Mireille An, Dr. Kang Jun, Nurse Ara Min, the Queen said formally. You did what the entire Galactic Medical Council could not. You faced certain death to save a species you had never met. Why? Mireille thought about the question. She thought about Earth, about humanity's long history of fighting diseases, about all the doctors and nurses who had given their lives to save others, about the human drive to help, to heal, to protect. Because we could, she finally answered. Humans have a saying, not on my watch. It means that while we're here, while we're alive, we won't let bad things happen if we can prevent them. 4 billion people were dying. We had a chance to stop it. So we did. Admiral Una Choi stood before the massive holographic display, showing the Dravaxian Collective's home system. Behind her, the Strategic Command Center buzzed with quiet activity as her team prepared for the war game. She had been an admiral for only 6 months, promoted after her tactical work during the Mars defense exercises. Now she was about to face the galaxy's greatest military minds. Admiral, Commander Hyun Do approached with a datapad. I've reviewed the Dravaxian military history. They haven't lost a war in 3,000 years. Every battle, every skirmish, every engagement, they've won them all. Then they're overdue for a loss, Una replied calmly. Tactical Officer Rhea Song looked up from her station. The Dravaxians are a hive mind, Admiral. They think as one being. Perfect coordination, no communication delays, complete unity of purpose. How do we fight that? By being perfectly uncoordinated, Una answered with a slight smile. The Dravaxian Collective had issued the challenge 3 weeks ago. They claimed that humanity's military reputation was based on luck and desperation rather than actual skill. To prove this, they proposed a wargame simulation, a complete military engagement using the galaxy's most advanced tactical computers. No actual fighting, no real casualties, but a true test of strategic thinking. Earth had accepted immediately, not because they thought they would win, but because humans never backed down from a challenge. The Dravaxian representative appeared on the main screen. It looked like a floating mass of neural tissue encased in a shimmering energy field. When it spoke, thousands of voices spoke simultaneously as one. Admiral Una Choi, we are ready to begin the simulation. The parameters are simple. 2 equal fleets will engage in a system with multiple planets and asteroid fields. Victory conditions are complete destruction or surrender of enemy forces. The simulation will run in accelerated time. What takes hours in reality will take minutes here. Understood, Una replied. One question, are there any rules about acceptable tactics? No, the Dravaxian replied. All tactics are permitted. We want to see what humanity considers strategic thinking. Perfect, Una said. Then let's begin. The simulation started. Both fleets appeared in the system, separated by millions of kilometers. The Dravaxian force moved immediately into perfect formation, their ships arranging themselves in geometric patterns that maximized firepower and defense. It was textbook military strategy, beautiful in its precision. Una watched for exactly 10 seconds, then turned to her team. Rhea, scatter the fleet. No formation, no pattern. Make it look like we're panicking. Admiral? Rhea questioned. Do it, Una ordered. The human fleet broke apart, ships moving in seemingly random directions. Some headed for asteroids, others toward planets, a few just drifted in space. It looked like complete chaos. The Dravaxian fleet advanced in perfect formation, moving to engage what they calculated was the main human force. But there was no main force. There were just scattered ships with no apparent coordination. They're confused, Hyundo observed, watching the enemy movement patterns. The hive mind is trying to identify our strategy. There is no strategy, Una said. That's the strategy. She turned to her communications officer. Send individual orders to each ship captain. Tell them to use their own judgment. Engage targets as they see fit. No coordination required. The communications officer looked shocked. Admiral, that goes against all military doctrine. Without coordination, we'll have friendly fire incidents, wasted firepower, tactical gaps. Exactly, Una interrupted. The Dravaxians think perfectly. They predict perfectly. They coordinate perfectly, so we'll be imperfect. We'll be messy. We'll be human. The battle began in earnest. A Dravaxian cruiser moved to engage 3 scattered human destroyers. The Dravaxian calculated that the destroyers would try to coordinate their attack for maximum damage. Instead, one destroyer rammed the cruiser at full speed, sacrificing itself to damage the enemy shields. The other 2 destroyers immediately fired on the weakened cruiser from opposite directions. The Dravaxian fleet hesitated. Ramming attacks were inefficient. The loss of a destroyer outweighed the damage to the cruiser. It didn't make mathematical sense. But the cruiser was destroyed, and the 2 remaining destroyers moved on to new targets. Kamikaze tactics, Hyundo said quietly. We're using kamikaze tactics. We're using everything, Una corrected. Every tactic, every trick, every crazy idea anyone has ever had. The Dravaxians can predict logical strategies. They can't predict desperation mixed with creativity. Another human ship, a frigate called the Soul Thunder, found itself surrounded by 4 Dravaxian vessels. Instead of trying to fight or escape, the captain did something unprecedented. He broadcast a surrender signal, then immediately fired all weapons, while the Dravaxians processed the contradiction. 3. Enemy ships were destroyed before they could react to the deception. The Dravaxian collective's confusion was visible in their fleet movements. Ships began to hesitate, second-guessing their calculations. The hive mind was trying to compute human behavior and failing. Rhea worked her tactical station with fierce concentration. Admiral, I'm seeing an opportunity. There's a gap in their formation near the 3rd planet. Is it a trap? Una asked. Probably, Rhea admitted. Then let's spring it, Una decided. Send 5 ships through the gap. Tell them to attack whatever's on the other side. Then retreat immediately. Don't even try to win. Just cause chaos. The 5 ships charged through the gap. As predicted, it was a trap. 20 Dravaxian vessels were waiting in ambush. But instead of trying to fight, the human ships fired everything they had in random directions, then jumped to faster-than-light travel while the Dravaxians were still organizing their response. It accomplished nothing strategically. It wasted ammunition. It was, by any logical analysis, a pointless maneuver, but it forced the Dravaxians to maintain that ambush, tying up 20 ships that could have been used elsewhere. They're starting to adapt, Hyundo warned. The hive mind is learning our patterns. Then we change the patterns, Una said. She pulled up a simulation of the asteroid field. See this cluster? Dense enough to hide ships. Rhea, take command of the stealth squadron. Hide them in the asteroids. When the Dravaxians pass by, don't attack. Don't attack, Rhea asked, confused. Just follow them, Una explained. Stay hidden and follow. Make them paranoid. The stealth squadron disappeared into the asteroid field. When the Dravaxian fleet passed nearby, they detected nothing. But their sensors kept showing ghost readings, possible threats that vanished when investigated. The Dravaxian fleet slowed down, becoming cautious. Paranoia, a useless emotion for a hive mind, but one the humans were deliberately creating. The simulation continued. Hours of battle compressed into minutes of real time. The Dravaxian fleet used perfect tactics, envelopment maneuvers, concentrated fire, strategic retreats. Everything a military academy would teach. The human fleet used chaos, fake retreats that turned into ambushes, real retreats that looked like traps, ships that fought when they should run and ran when they should fight. One human captain started broadcasting poetry on all frequencies while attacking. Another used their ship's running lights to spell out insults in Morse code. It was ridiculous. It was unprofessional. It was working. The Dravaxian hive mind couldn't predict it because there was nothing to predict. Each human captain was making independent decisions based on incomplete information and personal judgment. There was no central strategy to decode, no pattern to calculate, no logic to counter. 5 hours into the simulation, the Dravaxian fleet began to fall apart. Not because they were losing, the battle was roughly even in terms of ships destroyed, but because their perfect coordination was breaking down. The hive mind was trying to process too many variables, account for too many illogical actions, predict too many unpredictable humans. Una saw the moment of opportunity. All ships converge on the enemy flagship. Full attack, no holding back. This is it. The human fleet, scattered across the system, suddenly moved as one toward the Dravaxian command ship. For the first time in the entire battle, they showed coordination and purpose. The Dravaxians, expecting more chaos, had left their flagship lightly defended. It was a logical decision. The humans had shown no interest in coordinated attacks. Why would they start now? Because humans had been chaos on purpose, waiting for this exact moment. The human fleet overwhelmed the Dravaxian flagship in minutes. With the hive mind's central coordinator destroyed, the remaining Dravaxian ships began operating independently, losing their perfect coordination. They were still dangerous, but they were no longer thinking as one. And in a battle of individual ship captains making their own decisions, humans had 3,000 years of practice. The simulation ended 8 hours after it began. What should have taken weeks was compressed into a single afternoon. The final result? Complete human victory. The Dravaxian collective appeared on the main screen again. For the first time, the voices that made up the hive mind weren't perfectly synchronized. There was discord, confusion, something almost like emotion. "We do not understand," they said. "Your tactics were inefficient. Your losses were higher than necessary. Your strategy was chaos. Yet you won. Because chaos is also a strategy," Una explained. "You think perfectly, which means you can predict anything that follows logic.